Well, I don't know how many more people will join, but I'm certain that they will watch this later. So please tell us about your past, just a little, that brought you to wanting to invent and bring to market a lightweight QMS like a Google Docs for compliance.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me. I'm a technical guy, and previously I was working like in 3 startups, 3 big companies. The last one was Amazon, AWS. Maybe you heard about
I've heard
it,
of it,
like
yeah.
yeah. So and do you know and honestly, we're building not the QMS. We're building the productivity project management tool.
Okay.
And QMS is one of the use case that we solve.
I see. Now, how many is we?
We're 5 people who works for full time. We are startup. Do you know? Yeah.
Are you set up as W-2s, you're all full-time employees, or are you all contractor 1099 types?
No. Full-time employer. Yeah, we have some contractors and employees. We're like C Corp in Delaware. Do you know, classical Silicon Valley startup?
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us more.
So and the idea is that we were building productivity tool, and the key element of this productivity tool is that you can manage the tasks inside of the document. All right. And then one of our clients say, like, guys, can we store the policies and procedures on your platform? And we say, yeah, of course you can. And then they ask about the approval, acknowledgement, and periodic review of the documents. And we say, why do you need that? And they like say, oh, we need it like for policy management and standard operation procedures for the compliance. We're like, all right, like for the compliance, what kind of, and like what do you do? And then we look at the different types of the compliance that like exist. And then one of the type is actually the quality management, right? So it's kind of like documentation, the project management, and yeah, and then we start looking at this area.
Okay.
So what we found is that, do you know, in the like QMS market, there are kind of like 2 edge cases. On one, there are like proper huge QMS systems. Let me show you. Can I share the screen?
Yes, please do.
Yeah, so do you know there are like this kind of systems, like where you have the like Zen QMS, Qualio, Simple QMS, right? Like Greenlight Guru, Matrix Requirement, and then like the right Jira Confluence, SharePoint, and Word and Excel documents. All right, like people still using the Word and Excel documents, like in Google Drive or Box, Dropbox, and this is like very simple, lightweight solution, right? So what we do is we're building the platform for the people from here. We can provide the features from the kind of QMS perspective, but it's in the form and shape of just like Word and Excel spreadsheets.
Okay.
So we are not trying to drive the kind of workflow, do you know? We're saying, look, we're just repository of the Word and Excel documents.
Okay.
But we can provide some features for project management.
Can you give us a bit of a demo?
Yeah, sure. So here it looks like, do you know, you have basically like Dropbox, right? You have the files. Okay. And then
is this in fact set in Dropbox?
No, it's our platform. It's not the Dropbox. It like instead of Dropbox, you can use our platform.
Okay.
And then let's say I have this is like demo not specifically for QMS, but it's will give you the idea like where we come from. So let's say you can open the Word document and say, all right, select any sentence or paragraph and turn it to the task. And then it's marked as a task, and then you can assign it to the people and track it. do you know the progress of the execution? Or let's say like this is like one of the narrative for the SOX compliance. And then the task which I just created in the document is linked with the page where it was mentioned or created, do you know? And then there is the like tracking all the activity, all the changes, and then all the tasks from all the documents aggregated in the task dashboard, which can be represented as a Kanban board or as a list or a Gantt diagram or calendar. All right. And the same with spreadsheet. So imagine that you have the spreadsheet, you can turn the cells, select the cells and say, turn it to the tasks. And then boom, you can then track the progress of these tasks. And we show the reports on top of it.
Okay.
And like, yeah, and it can be like applied for risk management. If you provide the likelihood, impact, priority, then you have the risk hit matrix. And the same with documents that I mentioned before. So you have the policies, procedures, you can request the approval of the document or and then track the progress who are like signed it, who approved. And then it's green lines, red lines, of the documents, this kind of standard stuff.
So what are you using today for your QMS?
Me?
We just Galero has everything right now, but we're building our own QMS system, and we just got a QMS document, just a platform that TEDCO was able to fund $6,000 of the $9,000 that it costs to build the QMS. So they're actually finishing it up right now. And then I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with that company or go with another company, but it was free money that I had to use, and it was spent wisely.
Okay. Have you talked to any of the members of the group?
Not yet.
Ellie or
That comes next, but we at least have a skeleton of our QMS platform, the manual built.
okay. So can you, I mean, have you personally worked with it?
Not at all. I just received it this week, like literally 3 days ago, and I was kind of blown away with all the
Functionality.
information that's in there. Yeah, and what we're going to need to do.
Okay.
And it's just to update you, we're working with a company called Galero. I have a medical device that we're bringing to market. Joe is a part of my little group now, and we anticipate FDA submission on 4/20. I'm sure all the pot smokers in the world will be happy about that.
Are you going to light up a doobie that day, or is that the plan?
Might have to, right? No, I don't think so. I'd have to go to California. It's still not legal in Maryland, I think.
Okay, fair enough. And you can hang out here in Seattle, so
There you go. Yeah, go to Seattle.
you can write it off as a business expense.
I don't think so.
Okay, well. So Dennis, you showed us some of the elements. Are there, when you contacted me for the first time, you only said lightweight QMS. You didn't talk about project management and the like. Was that because of your perception of my role in industry, and that would be the only thing you thought that would be relevant to me, or was there a different reason that you only?
Yeah. So
aspect?
one of the person I was talking, like, so I'm a technical guy,
Yes.
and I'm actually looking for design partners who can help us like to build the like templates for this kind of stuff.
You mean like a UX person, user experience person, the interface?
I'm more about the expert in the field, because like I know that a lot of people using the like Dropbox, they have kind of project template in terms of the number of the documents,
yes,
and kind of project structure. So I'm like, I'm more interested in this kind of role, like design partners. But yeah, of course, like feedback on UI is welcome as well. Yeah. So, and I talk with few guys, and they recommend me, like, you are as expert in this field. So I was like interested, like, to hear your feedback and others, guys.
Well, as you can see, I'm not the expert. I just know expert friends. And in fact, I have been writing a few of the people engaged in that quality conversation who apparently are still waking. But one is about to join us. And he too is a European, probably watching the game with Luke. Who's playing right now?
The Netherlands is leading by 1-0
Versus?
versus Ecuador.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Well, good luck. I don't know any Ecuadorians, so I'm good.
So, but I'm sure that Joe, you saw a lot of QMSs, and you know how it actually works, right? And the difference between the QMS and EQMS, and yeah, maybe you can give me like some of your thoughts.
Well, that's certainly something that I'm working with Nellie Bushman right now. She is, I don't know if we can say she's coining the phrase, but she's positioning her company as a virtual QMS system. And she presented a few weeks back when she taught us the differences among when to go with paper, when to go with virtual, and when to go with electronic. And it was a healthy conversation. We spent quite a bit of time on paper, actually, because I had taken away that it was basically antiquated and can be dismissed, but there was a lot of conversation about why you might not want to do that. And I found that quite interesting. So I do feel a bit of a disadvantage this morning because I was really expecting that she would engage you on that level, because when she first presented to the group maybe a year ago, she brought up this notion of working in Excel spreadsheets. And I was like, you can't be serious. I mean, really? I mean, there's Greenlight Guru out there who built this $60,000 a year, or I don't know what the price is these days, systems. And you're saying that Excel is an acceptable answer? And she said, yes, on these conditions, which I can't replay for you the way I'd like. So what are your thoughts on that? I mean,
But I can add something to that.
please.
Also, she begins very simple because she also works for small companies, startups.
Mhm.
And on the way, things get more complicated. And the way she built her system, she takes the users by the hand while it's getting more complicated.
Mhm.
Because the crux of a quality system is not in how everything is organized, but how you know how to use the tool. It's the same with programming. I
Mhm.
mean, you can have a syntax highlighting editor, and you can have GitHub, but that doesn't make you a good programmer or knowing
Yeah,
how
that's
to
a
do
great.
proper programming. And the same is with quality management. You can make a very good tool, but if you don't know how to use it or how to
Right.
use it properly, it will I think it will bite you in the tail in the end.
So, Dennis, what do you aspire to just basically sell a SaaS system where I buy a monthly or annual license to use your platform and that's it? You don't provide consulting support, just here it is, and let us know if you find any bugs or what?
Yes, exactly. So that's why we are like, we are thinking right now about like focusing more on work with consulting companies who know already the process, who are already doing it with Word and Excel spreadsheet.
Mhm.
But now, because they can just like manage like the issues, the controls, everything like in one place with reporting and status, like easily. Yeah, so we are focusing on this kind of. So we are not the kind of QMS in the kind of common sense.
But Dennis, the law says thou shall do quality management, and in Europe and in the United States now it's according to ISO 13485. So if your system doesn't help you complying with ISO 13485, it actually makes your work more difficult. So are you into ISO 13485? Do you know it by heart and know what it takes to do according that standard?
Yes. So the thing is that we're like startup, we're still building the system. Like what I show you today is images, and actually I show you just small portion of all what, because I know that it recorded and like publicly will be shown, right? So I show you just like small piece. And
So this is just images. You don't have a functional system right now?
We already have, we're in the beta.
And you have
we
paying
already
customers?
Yes, for in other use cases, or in other type of the components.
Okay.
Okay, but medical is a nasty kind of sport to go into.
Yes, I know. And
You've got
it's
too much
not
World Cup on the
only,
brain. Just focus here for a moment.
Okay.
yeah. So we know that like for Europe, like for US, we need like SOC 2, for Europe, ISO 27001. Do you know this kind of? We understand it. We understand it.
And also, your system must be validated. When you get an audit, you have to prove that the software you're using is not making any mistakes. So the nice thing of things like Liger Guru and simpler QMS is that they are, even when they do an update, you know that they're already validated, so you can use it without any problems. And otherwise, the auditor comes by and says, how do you prove that it's not making any mistakes? I don't know, I just buy the software. Okay, you have to spell out every step how you work in your quality management system, and then how you validate your software to it. And that's an awful lot of work for a company. So whatever you make, try to make it pre-validated.
Yeah.
According
sure.
to 13485.
You said that that your system is not only for QMS, that it's more of a project management tool. Is your QMS play more of a, we see a market there and so we want to build that functionality? What's the main point of your system, which you call B6 Cloud? Is that what the name of your product? You know, some of the folks on the call now, and I'm glad that my friend Simon jumped on. He's at a company that focuses on QMS. Should he think of you as a true competitor or someone who's kind of on the margin there? And if you don't mind, for the benefit of those who joined a little later, could you bring up that one slide or that you showed us about kind of the layout of what you're working on? Simon, Denis is still in beta, and he's showing us some of the functionality. He says he does have some paying clients. Luke challenged him on his knowledge of 13485, which Denis feels well versed in. So I'm kind of hoping to ascertain, can I feel good about recommending Denis's system? I'm not a user of QMS systems, so that's why I'm really grateful for your participation. Denis?
Happy to join you, Joe. Hello, Denis. How you doing?
Great.
Can you show him something to ground him, Denis?
You're talking about this slide?
That, and then you showed us some of the proposed functionality. And interesting to me, I see in your presentation that you're on slide 6 for QMS solutions. I'm curious about the pages leading up to that. If, as you present your compliance tool, if this is, and we do this, or it's the main point of the system that you're building.
So again, you need to think about like our platform not as like as QMS tool. It's project management tool which solves the QMS use case. All right, and we're for people who are using the Word and Excel spreadsheets right now with like Box, Dropbox, or Google Drive. All right. What we allow is to embed the tasks inside of the Word Excel spreadsheet and do the reporting on it.
Okay, I'm not personally, I don't feel I have enough to go on. You know, my aspiration when we do these is for me to learn enough about what you're doing so that I can get off the phone and say to a friend, oh, you should really talk to Denis. And I don't feel I have that right now. I don't feel I have the words to explain to a prospective QMS system licensor why you really need to talk to Denis. And I'm hoping that you can get me there. And Simon, if you would, I'm going to ask you to take the floor for a moment and say, let us know what your value proposition is, as you so eloquently shared on the 10X stage back in September. What is the reason to work with Cognidocs?
Well, I suppose, yeah, thanks, Joe. I mean, as Luke, as Candeep knows, we make Denis a document management system on which you can build your own EQMS. So we don't mind what file extensions you use. We are completely agnostic to file extensions on Cognidocs. Bring in any document, any file, anything you need. Automate the workflows, which of course is any important quality management system. It's also the basic DMS function is to have automated workflows. So you've got control of documents, you've got revision history, you've got auditory trail. Should you ever be inspected, you've got your DHF files and your design material files, all in one nice, neat place that you can pull together. What we do slightly different is we just bring the structure. So the green light gurus, the Qualios of the world, the big, all singing, all dancing machines. Yeah, those guys are great if you've got a big company and you've got deep pockets and you're prepared to invest for 3 years, which I guess is why you're trying to create your tool as well. That's what we do at Cognidocs. You know, we go in at very effective, $6,000 only a year. You've got the whole system. You can tailor it, you can tweak it, you can adjust it, but it's compliant with every aspect of 13485 plus FDA, CFR Part 11 for digital signatures. So I'd be intrigued if you're creating that within your system, how you'd get a digital signature on a Word or Excel document that would comply with a CFR Part 11, or are you doing the project management that links into a third-party QMS tool?
No. We're planning to have the signature in our platform as well. So okay. The difference is that like you guys, you probably already built the tool, right? And we're in the process of building. You see the difference? And some questions about the compliance with some standards, we're just in process. We're still in process.
Yeah. Okay. So you just shared, Joe. Sorry, Joe.
No, not at all. I interrupted. Go ahead.
I guess you're just pitching to Joe, Denis, the high level concept of what it's going to be once you get into that creative function.
Exactly. And I just wanted to know the feedback before we actually build it.
I see. So, okay. So like then let's. I'm going to change the tone a little bit, because this is another type of call that we do. It's not so much understanding your go-to-market strategy, but rather to have the folks on the call give you feedback about things you might consider. And the first thing I'm thinking now is, as you put up on the screen, you have entrenched, established players in the space. You're brand new. I imagine among your 5, you don't have someone dedicated to marketing and sales and outreach and all of that. It's a bit too much work for a team that lean. What kind of scale would you need to make this a profitable undertaking? You haven't told me anything about what your proposed fees are. You know, how much would it cost for me to become a user of your system today? Do you have a set price?
So the thing is that right now we're looking for the help, like design partners, right? Mm-hmm. And for the design partners, we give our system for free.
Mm-hmm. So you don't have paying customers right now?
We have paying customers in out of QMS use case.
I see. If I understand what you said, you have paying customers, but not for the QMS portion. You are still in design.
Exactly.
I see. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And how many companies do you have considering the QMS functionality and giving you feedback about what they need?
How many we have right now?
Mm-hmm. It could be 1. It could be just. I'm trying to get
right now it's 3, and we're looking for more. We need 10.
Okay. You need 10
Mhm.
because you feel that's the number to give you enough critical feedback.
Yes, yes, exactly.
If, let's say you get to a point where you have 10 and you feel good about what you built, you brought in the signature functionality, and you're confident you could answer all of Luke's questions about compliance and the like. Have you gotten enough competitive feedback about what the market will bear? Simon shared that his is a $6,000 a year license, and that's it. Are you planning on potentially being at that price point or less expensive, or can you give us a sense of what you're thinking? Because, you know, if it
Yes.
takes you a $90,000 a year person to do all the programming and support, you're going to need 15 people just to break even on that. So what kind of scale are you thinking about here?
So right now I don't have the exact numbers because it will depend on the traction. So, but we're like thinking about like 15,000 per year range, like plus minus,
Okay.
depending on the size of the company and number of users.
So it sounds to me as though the person that you're seeking is not searching for a QMS tool necessarily, but a project management tool that has QMS functionality in it, because otherwise, why would I pay 2.5 times Simon's dedicated QMS price for something that is not as focused?
I think if you compare with Simon's QMS, right? If you compare with Qualio or Zen QMS or Greenlight Guru, right? It might be like different answer.
It's fair. The Qualio price, the Greenlight Guru price. I mean, for a 30 or 40 person system, the guys on the call know the same, Denis. Yeah, probably $40,000 a year. You sign up for 3 years as well. I mean, we find for Cognidocs, at least, the positioning that we come in financially is much more affordable for the startup small medical device company. I mean, what they're looking for is compliance. I'm just going to share briefly, Denis. You might find this useful. It's something that we did when we entered the market a couple of years ago. You can find it on the Cognidocs page under compliance. And basically what we did is, if you look at 13485, in fact, I'll do it for our US friends whilst we're on the call. We went through the key aspects of all of the compliance matrices. And what we kind of do is we validate each of those. I just called the validation at the start of it. So we kind of understood of if we're going to go into this market, what do we need to do to be successful? Well, we give you a platform to build your own 13485, but we're not going to do it for you. And we don't also supply the SOPs and templates. The Qualios, the Greenlight Gurus will do everything for you and provide the templates. And, you know, that's why you would probably go and pay the bigger money if you got deeper pockets. But essentially, they all do the same. And what they're looking for is this type of matrix to say, okay, how do I cover section 6 in terms of quality management? Well, I can dip down to my quality management. I can look at my infrastructure and my resource. How does Cognidocs handle that? I've got the clause for it. And we found this very useful. I mean, we've grown quite steadily, about 40% year on year for the past 3 years, just by kind of working through that bit. But I think the affordability is the key aspect if you're going down that route. I mean, if we start and charge probably more than 10 grand a year, I suspect our growth will tailor off. Because there's a lot of small companies now in the space. You know, you've got Simpler QMS, you've got the guys over in Israel. I was on a call yesterday with somebody, a solution called IMS, SciLife, lots and lots of different systems out there. It's just finding the right sweet spot, I think.
Yeah.
As though you've selected a very competitive space, Denis. So, you know, if I were to be your commercialization advisor, I'd be hesitant from what you've shared. I mean, you're at a resource and functionality disadvantage relative to established players, and you're going to need to really invest to catch up to them, and then invest further for brand awareness and why we should choose you over them. Sue, you wrote a question. You want to share that with the group?
Yeah, just for Simon or for Denis, do you provide quality control management systems on a fractional basis? Like maybe a couple of hours a week is probably all we'll really need when we're just getting started.
I think you're asking if he provides or seeks to provide any consulting service at all, or if it's buy the software and good luck. Is that what you asked? Yes. And I think he answered and said, we're not in the consulting business. We're looking to partner with consultants to use it.
Exactly, exactly.
Karendeep, with your clients, you provide quality system support. So you would be someone with whom he would want to partner. Have you heard anything that excites you about what he's building? What do you presently typically use? Or is it a function of your clients come to you and say, hey, can you help me with the system I've already chosen? Or do they ask you to choose what should I be doing?
So yeah, Joe, as is with consultants, companies tend to go out and try to give it a go themselves and then bring out consultants. So they'll usually say, Karendeep, I've purchased a QMS. Can you fix it for me, or can you put it in place for me, rather than contact me early on in the stages and say, Karendeep, this is our company, this is our size, this is what we want to do. Which one of these QMS systems do you think would work best for us? More of a case of they've already bought the QMS and they want me to work with what they have effectively as a consultant. There was only one circumstance in which I got a company to switch to their QMS because I warned them that I was going to spend more in hours than they would spend on the annual cost of switching their QMS. But it was only one rare case of that happening. But it's usually they've already bought one and they want me to work with what they have.
What was the product they were using? If your company,
I am not going to bash the product. I don't think there's anything wrong with the product. It just
Right,
didn't
but it
fit
wasn't
the type
for
of
them.
company and their needs. Yeah.
are you comfortable sharing the one that you switched them to?
Jira and Confluence, because it was a software medical device company. They were already using Jira and Confluence, and it was just a case of going in and building workflows. And because the system they're already using, they said, yeah, great. Build us some workflows. Our software engineers are familiar with this. Show us what we need to do. And it just worked. And they didn't have to pay for additional licenses. They just had to pay for my fees to go in and implement that system and amend their procedures to work with Jira and Confluence, basically. But another warning as well with QMS systems, another point, the system itself is self-validating, that's fine. But if you're using other software like SharePoints and G Drives and Amazon AWS, GitHub, etc., a lot of companies forget to also validate that software. So if you're using that as an integral part of your QMS, companies have been guilty of that in the past, where they see the word self-validating and forget to validate those other systems that they're using also.
In your career,
Yes.
Karendeep, how many QMS systems have you at least seen a demo for? I mean, is it even bigger and like more populated, competitive field than I even imagine?
There's quite a few demos. I mean, examples. So looking at the slide that you had on before, Greenlight Guru, I've seen a demo. Simon System, I've seen a demo. His as well. And that's usually how the QMS needs to be approached. The company needs to say, okay, can you please show me a demo? And if me as a consultant and president, and Simon, remember, I was asking a question, say, okay, if I wanted to change a document, how would I go about doing this? And you say, yeah, Karendeep, you'll do this. If I wanted to validate something, how would I do this? Oh, in the past, such and such QMS has had a problem. Does your one have this one? Oh, no, our solution is this, and this is how we deal with it. Another pricing system, and Greenlight Guru does this as well, is they have different pricing systems depending on the size of the company. So if you're a startup and you only need a few small features, there's one price point, then there's a middle price point. And then if you're a fully fledged company with 100 employees and sort of millions and millions in turnover, then yes, of course, you want all the features. So what I recommend is early on is have a different pricing structure, maybe target the small companies with the small budgets first. As you start building your QMS system, you can start adding features into it as you get feedback. Then you can increase your price point with those additional features. And if a company decides, hey, I don't need a couple of these features on there, you can drop the price for them. I think that would be a good system that you can build.
Thank you. Simon, I think he's far enough. I mean, how long is when did Joe create Cognidocs? When did his project start?
Well, Cognidocs has been going since 2008, but it's only really since about 2017 that we've moved into the medical device space. So before that, we used to work with semiconductor companies, product development companies. They were bringing control around documents, control around projects. Then we almost stumbled into medical device when we were approached by somebody that says, I've got this massive amount of paper, I need to make it electronic. And you've got to adhere to 13485. So we spent a bit of time looking at 13485. And the core element of that is around document control. The compliance aspect, of course, as the guys will know, is how you implement those systems and then how you report and monitor on it. So that's kind of what took us into that space. And I think since that time, probably about 85% of our new clients are medical device startups. And as Karendeep says, I mean, we work specifically now with that startup tech. So anything from 1 to 3 years old. Our average deal size is about $6,000. Usually it's about 5 to 15, 5 to 20 employees. because they're looking for the cost-effective route. And some of the big guys, although they have the different prices, it still can be a little bit of a bind to commit to a project for 3 years. And I think I mean, the guys now, Greenlight, Qualio, they're still looking for that 3-year sign-up, aren't they? When you sign with them.
Yeah, so it does happen. Sadly, sometimes a company will then commit to these big QMS systems, and then a year later, say, you know what, this is a bit too much for us. So maybe there's a change in our funding, and trying to get out of that 3-year course is going to come at a cost.
Yeah, you got to buy yourself out, I think, isn't it? I heard of guys that they started using the Qualio, and they liked Qualio to start with, but then they realized they couldn't use Word, they couldn't use Excel, they couldn't use their file templates, and they're like, guys, we want to be using this, because otherwise, how do we distribute that document around our company or share it with external partners? And yeah, they were kind of stuck in that system for about 2 years.
Simon, so you focused on medical device startups at least for 5 years. I'm wondering, in that time, have any of those companies grown to a point that they felt they outgrew your system?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's when clients leave Cognidocs, Joe. I mean, we lose clients for 2 reasons. One, they run out of funding. Very simply, if you've got a startup medical device, they don't all get to market. Some of them sadly drop away, or the grant runs out. And the other one is the company gets acquired. So we had an instance a little while ago where one of our clients, a company called Dolphitech, UK company doing product development, they started off with 20 users, got up to about 450, eventually got acquired, and their parent company said, this is what we're using. You need to migrate your 35,000 documents away from Cognidocs onto the new platform. So that's a shitty job. I wouldn't want one of those. But yeah, so yeah, that's how we typically find it, Joe. We don't really lose. And I think it's probably true. I mean, you know, Lou can say, but we don't typically lose a client once you've brought them on board to a competing product. We typically find that once you're embedded with a solution, the typical SaaS model is that you stick there and you make it work. And whether that's getting some professional help in, somebody to come in and streamline it, or whether you help them.
Thank you for that. And actually, if you saw me pick up the phone, that was Nellie. She's knee deep in an FDA audit, which is why she was not able to join us today. Denis, I guess I would conclude with your thoughts about what you've heard today. Are you encouraged or discouraged relative to what you've heard about the mountain of development that you would need to put into this to be a serious contender for people shopping for a QMS system, given that it's an add-on, not the focus of your work?
Yep.
Right. So it's expectable, right? So, and I think it's this kind of adoption curve for something that requires, like in any industry, right? So yeah, we'll see how it works. We'll try to do what we believe in and see how it works.
Okay. Well, I hope you felt this was good feedback and shared it with a few people. As I shared earlier.
One question, may I?
Please.
Do you have an idea who your users will be? I mean, is it going to be used by all employees around a company, or just by the quality and regulatory department, or just by the project managers? Or do you have an idea who your users are going to be?
Yes. So right now, it's used by the project managers, but because we're a generic tool, right? Like we're just repository, like a smart repository of this stuff. But we're looking for the QMS use case, right? So we're looking for the requirements to fill the QMS needs, the needs of the quality people.
But also design people and production people also create documents that have to be fitted into your quality management system one way or another.
Yes, because we're the repository like Google Drive or Box, Dropbox, any type of the files can be stored, right? We allow to create the diagrams. Again, everything what is possible with Box and Dropbox, Word document, Excel spreadsheet, like different types of the images, diagrams, is possible on our system. The thing that now you don't need to use the Jira, Confluence, like some file storage and emails. Now everything in one place.
Yeah, but a lot of documents have links to other documents. They're linked up and linked down, and one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-one. And it's very hard to get, how to say that, the system is still sound after a few years of work. Because then links disappear or are added, and you don't know. You have to keep track on whether a link is still valid after some time. And
we do. You will like when we release, you will see how it's done.
okay, I hope you come back one day and show you the finished system for startups.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see. Anyway, Luke, I'm more concerned that it's 10 to 5 and you're not watching Holland's
Oh,
play.
he is. Oh, he is.
We're still 1-0 up front because
Yeah, I've got it on my TV.
yeah, there's an offside goal from Ecuador.
Well, it's. I was saying, it's funny because he wrote me yesterday and said, I have to apologize in advance. I can't make tomorrow's call. The country is playing. And I was like,
Who cares about soccer?
Is football still a thing?
Yeah. It's only because you're not very good at it, Joe. You know,
No, it's not that. It's that
when Americans aren't good at things, they just rubbish it to the world.
So he explained that actually the World Cup is far bigger event than the Olympics. And I was like, yeah, I don't even know how to. Of course, I was teasing. I get it. But I said, you can have it on in the background, and for sure. So, but it amuses me that today, the day after Thanksgiving, with the exception of Sue, an entrepreneur who's working every day and night, everyone on this call is a European because everyone else is sleeping off their turkey and overeating. So,
but tonight the United States is playing England. So
yeah, 2 hours time, Joe. 2 hours time.
Okay, I'll be sure to. I can't even finish the sentence. Tell me what happens.
Simon.
I'll ping you the result. Thanks, Luke.
Yes, thank you for taking today's invitation to come and present. And I hope that some of the feedback you got today proves helpful.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much.
For all of my European friends, I hope your countries win their epic battles of 1-0 or 2-0 or 2-1.
Whatever the score is, Joe.
Maybe not be a tie.
No, his tie is for the nation. He's showing his allegiance to his country. Susie, I'll call you on a different line, and thank you, everybody. I'll see you soon. Thanks for joining in.
Yeah, thanks for inviting us, Joe.
Thank you. Bye-bye.